What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and tonight I have a special guest for you, strong woman, ERIN Stoney.
Ciao, homie.
Welcome back to My Block's Strongest Man, where we bring strongman into the mainstream by discussing all of the latest strongman events in the greatest analytic detail that you'll find anywhere on YouTube. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to this channel. Make sure to comment below whether you agree or disagree with my videos. I love the engagement, and I respond to every single comment. Now on to today's topic. Hi, ERIN. How are you? Thanks for joining me. How you doing this evening?
Great. How are you?
Awesome. I'm so glad to have you on. I love high energy people on my channel.
Yeah, well, you're getting it. You and we're going to bounce off the walls. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. You have a reputation, so you better live up to it.
It's true.
Awesome. So, let's start off with, just for people that don't know you and aren't aware of your accomplishments, just take a minute to brag about some of the stuff you've done.
I won't lie. I don't have a whole ton to brag about. I've been in the sport for about 4 years. I took about a year off when I was injured, and I've also taken about a year off in between really, really big competitions. So, I mean, really, I've only been competing for like 2.5, 3 years. So my biggest brag would be the 2018 official strongman games. I actually qualified, and I went, and that was, that's such a big, huge competition. Like, that was the year Rhiannon Lovelace won my weight class. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I was kind of sitting off on the side going, okay, I'm here. I'm not lifting what she's lifting, but I'm here. So that was kind of my biggest one.
Miss like 100,000 followers won your weight class?
Yeah, yes, I know. And then she just pulled 660 pounds, and I'm like, that's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome, though. It's great. How many times do you typically compete per year, or does it differ?
It depends on the opportunities that are presented, and how much travel I'm able to take. And like most people that work, jobs, whatever time I have for that stuff too. I like to compete in a good year, at least 2 local comps, and then heading to one of the 2 national competitions we have every year. I've never been able to go to both national competitions. Just the events are usually different, and it's better to just train for one or the other.
Right.
I have enjoyed, though, jumping in on level 2 competitions instead of just the level 1s. That's been fun. So I'll travel and go to do those more now moving forward, I think. Okay.
And then for those that don't know, what are the 2 national comps?
Sure. Yeah, we've got corporations, 2 corporations. One is National, NAS, National American Strongman. And then we have USS, United States Strongman.
Okay.
So they both are running national competitions for their corporations. One is usually in the summer. That's usually USS is the summer and NAS is in the fall.
Okay. All right, cool. So kind of rewinding a little bit, let's learn a little bit about your background and your roots. Have some interesting stories for us.
Always. Okay. Interesting thing about me that most people don't know is I actually have a master's of divinity. So I was a pastor.
Wow, that is interesting.
Especially those of you that know how much I like 4-letter words. So let me just tell you one thing. There is one way to wake up your congregation, and it is to say the S word in the middle of a sermon.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because so I graduated from Seton Hall, and it's a Catholic university. So intro to the Bible was mandatory. And so we got the good fortune of having a professor who was like literally out there digging up the artifacts from that time period. So it was the hardest course I ever took. I think the best student in the class was getting like a 48. So he had to round and curve so much so that people would pass.
Holy moly, that's insanity. I mean, it's cool though that like he actually has hands on history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I actually had to learn 5 different languages during that time period. So I knew Hebrew, ancient Greek, Latin, and then Spanish and French I already had. So that was insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I took Latin in high school too. I remember a little bit. I really would like to relearn my German, because I was good in high school with German, and I remember the prayers for the same reason, Catholic high school. So they made us say them every day. So I remember that.
Oh my gosh. I'm surprised you remember some of Latin. That was so hard. That and Hebrew were insanity.
Yeah, it's funny. I know we should focus on you, but just a quick anecdote. So in Latin class in high school, we had the actual principal as the teacher. And so he asks me, John, translate this sentence from the board. And I'm just staring at him. And he's like, go ahead, translate the sentence. So I don't translate it. So after class, everyone leaves. He goes, come talk to me for a second. And he was such a kind man. Pulls me over. He says, you can't see the board, can you? And I said, no. That's when I first got my glasses. So he's like, don't worry about it. I'll call your father. It'll be quiet. No big deal. You know, I know. He goes, you have a 96 average in my class. I know you know what that says. So
oh yeah, he was probably so like wondering like, why is he not translating? That's
yeah, no, but he was so nice about it. It was great. And it's funny, when I went with my parents at the time, this is many years ago, I walk out of the place with my glasses and I said to my dad, that's what a leaf on a tree looks like. Wow. I thought it was a blur.
Oh my God. That would have been great to have a video of that moment. That's like when people that are colorblind get those chroma like glasses and they start crying because they're so thrilled to see color.
Yep, for sure. So, I mean, speaking of my dad, who was your hero growing up, and has that changed over the years?
Okay, I love that you asked me this question. It actually made me pause and think about it. I'm like, God, who were my heroes when I was a kid? I've got three.
Okay.
And they might not be who you think. My first big hero, this is a weird one. I was really into books when I was a kid. This was Family Robinson.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I thought they were the coolest family on the planet. And like, if hopefully all of you have at least read that book in some form, but it's about this family that gets shipwrecked and they end up on this stranded island. And it's like the whole family has to like survive together. And I just thought it was so cool how they got to live in a treehouse and how they had to figure out how to survive on this island. I was like, wow, that's really cool. So that was my first one. My second one is Rocky Balboa.
Oh my goodness. Thank God I interviewed you this evening. I mean, if I had to pick a fictional character, that's my number one, but go ahead.
Oh my God, right? I still just geek out when those movies come on. So Rocky Balboa, the lessons you learn from watching him, go through all of his struggles. It's amazing. And my final one is Chrissy Wendell. Now, this is not a name you'll probably know, but she was a female hockey player. Okay. That she actually ended up being the captain of the United States women's Olympic hockey team. She was amazing. And I was a hockey player. I'm from Minnesota. So I was a big ice hockey player. And the cool thing about Chrissy Wendell is that she was my captain in high school. So I actually got to be with one of my big heroes every single day. So yeah, that's a fun one for you Minnesotans that remember that.
That's awesome. Great story there. Yeah. Ice hockey is great. I mean, I've never played, but just I watch when the Olympics come around, and honestly, like I like watching the women more. They seem faster. I don't know. It's just very exciting.
It's a different game, right? We see the same thing in strongmen and strong women as well. Like the women just do things a little bit differently. They're not any better or worse. That's not what it's about. It's just a little bit different. Like in the women's hockey game, it's more finesse because there's no checking. Yep. I mean, back in the day, they gave me some, crap about how our hips are too fragile and we shouldn't be checking, but I'm not buying that. So I think that's crap. But, so there's more of a finesse to that, whereas the men can kind of go at each other a little bit more.
Yeah. Just take a little bit of calcium and go at it. Nice. So how did you first come across strong? First of all, let me ask you this. What is the proper terminology? I don't want to offend anybody. I asked Jules Mansfield this last night. Is it strong woman or strong man?
It is the sport of strong man, although I am a strong woman.
She said the same thing.
Okay, good. Cool. Ooh, that's good to know that I know what I'm talking about, too.
I have confirmation. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah. So how did you first come across the sport?
Okay, so my job after I was a pastor, I became a group fitness instructor, and I still do that to this day. I teach group fitness classes all week long for Lifetime. And I was noticing I was teaching, 10 to 15 classes a week, a lot of cardio, right? And I was still kind of fat. I was still like, good 26% body fat. I wasn't changing. My body wasn't changing. So I looked at one of my trainer buddies who actually is a big strong man, James Stanko. He's won his pro card. He hasn't actually activated it yet, but he's there. And I looked at him and I said, hey, dude, something's got to change. Look at me. I was like jiggling my belly. I was like, this is not okay. This will not fly. We need to change this. And he was like, oh, all right, well, come lift some weights with me. And after a couple of sessions, I was like, okay, but like, what do I do with this? I feel like everybody, all these women who hit their 30s, for some reason, there's this expectation that they're going to start enjoying running, right? Like, we're going to do 5Ks now and 10Ks. And I did that for like a year. And I was like, I freaking hate running, man. I hate it. So I was like, but I need something to drive me and my goals. And then he was like, well, in April, that was in 4 months. He was in April, there's a strongman competition. Why don't you sign up? And I was like, the hell is that? What are you talking about? And so he showed me the events. And then because he was already in the sport, he was able to train me for that 4 months. So I signed up, got into it, and did my first local comp that year in April with Dave Daly, who was our state rep for NAS for a long time. I think he still is, but I haven't seen him for a while.
Cool. Do you have a favorite event?
Oh my God, yes. Press. I'm a presser. I love to press all things, anything that goes over my head. I will say this though, not the keg press. That sucks.
Okay.
I also love the yoke walk.
Would a Mauser suck for the same reason a keg would, holding it like that?
I found out I'm actually really good at the Mauser block. I considered going into the record breakers at Mammoth. I ended up not, because I just wanted to focus on the competition. And after being there, I was like, I'm glad I did that, because it was a little chaotic to have to do both.
Right.
But I would definitely consider going for that lightweight record. I'm like, that was fun. The block is fun.
Yeah, I was actually wondering about that, because guys like Wesley and Marcus did both record breakers and the full events. And I'm like, aren't you going to tire out? I mean,
oh
what
my
are your thoughts
gosh.
around that?
And Wesley was the one that, no, was it Wesley's one, was he the lightweight?
No, Wesley is
Big
pro. Big pro.
With the lightweight guy that did it with the mustache.
Oh, Aaron Blackford?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember watching him like go back and forth, and then he like fell underneath the block that one time and almost hit himself in the head, and we were all like, oh, and he took a break, got it, he got his world record, and then he literally ran over to do the press event right after that. And I was like, that's badass, yo.
Yeah, I think he had a post on IG about like, it fell on me, but I wasn't going to let that stop me from doing it. Yeah,
he ripped his shirt when he was done. He was like, I was like, oh, testosterone, yes.
Nice. Yeah, Wes did the sandbag attempt, which I thought was a crazy amount of weight to start with, but who am I?
I suck at sandbags, so I'm not going to say anything against that. Like, that's hard.
Yeah, but I think it was a 500-pound bag. Like, maybe build up to that. Just my opinion. So, looking back at your childhood, do you have like a memory where you can think of carrying weird stuff around and thinking like, oh, it all makes sense now?
Well, number one, my hockey bag.
Yeah.
Which they're massive. They were huge. And these kids nowadays, they have hockey bags that they wheel around. We did not have that back in my day. Oh, we carried those things over our shoulders with our hockey sticks. And we had our backpacks because we were just coming from school. So it was like, that's probably why I'm really good at the yoke walk. Like, because just load me up. Like, I can trudge through snowbanks in giant boots with snow pants on with all this weight on me. And I'm totally good, right?
Yeah. So for the uninitiated among us, how's a yoke different than a squat rack? Like, other than it just can hold plates on the bottom?
So the yoke is, imagine that you're a milkmaid, right? Like back in the 1800s. And they had those yokes that would go on their back so they could hang the buckets off of the side. So that's kind of where this is coming from, except now we've just modernized it and monetized it. Like Rogue is now making these things, right? And so it's a metal bar that you put across your back, and there's these two giant stands on the side. You can actually use a yoke as a squat rack if you get some J hooks to put on it. So it is multifunctional if you need like a garage gym. But when it's functioning as the yoke, you want to get it so that when you stand up, you've got a couple inches of the yoke being off the ground. And there's 4 places, 2 in the front and 2 in the back, where you can load the weights up to whatever you need it to be. Okay,
cool. And by the way, good for them for monetizing it, right? I want to monetize this chair and make it the office workout. You curl it and, pay me some cheddar.
You could. Living in the fitness industry, trust me, I see some shenanigans.
Nice. So how did you first find out about Mammoth? What attracted you to that competition?
My crew, my lifting crew. I had just kind of gotten back into lifting after taking a break after official strongman games. And we were finally like, all right, guys, we've done a couple local comps. It's been fun. It's cool. Been good to get your competition panties back on. But let's go hit something a little bit bigger and let's all go together and let's get out of the state. Because I live in Illinois. You guys, Illinois sucks. Okay. It sucks. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I live here. So we saw that one, and the boys were like, oh yeah, the boys, I swear to God, they must like be laying in bed at night every night going to the event calendars. Oh, what event am I gonna do next? You know, like I just got a text message today from one of them. He's like, go sign up for a comp in May. I'm like, okay, where? So yeah, they were like, let's do Mammoth. That's a level 2. So they're going to have some decent weights. It's going to be a big competition with a lot of people that we know. There's all these things happening. We're like, all right, cool. So we went as a crew. And that was really what drew me, because for me, strongman, very similar to what Christine Matthews says. It's about the people. It's about going to see your strong friends, as we say.
Yep. Yeah. She's funny. I found an article yesterday about pandas at the DC Zoo sliding down the hill in the snow. And I was like, before I saw the images, I thought this was about you. She started laughing.
Yeah, I love her so much. I can't even remember when I met her. It's been a while, but I have remember just the more I get to know her, the more I just love her and love her and love her. There's very few people that have that kind of energy that me and her have. Not everybody welcomes it, because competition day can be serious for some people. That's okay, right? Everybody competes a little bit differently. She's one of the only people that I actually get together with and we're like on the same level. We're just like nuts and lots of wild energy, and then channeling it for the event, but then like still just being like extroverts left and right for the whole competition. Yeah,
that's cool. So do you want to talk a little bit about, you mentioned group fitness earlier. Do you want to kind of talk about kind of how you got into that, what your day job is like, kind of what most interests you about that?
Absolutely. I work for Lifetime. I got into it in 2013. You can actually see, this is my original certification. I keep it back here as a reminder. Oh, and this is my master's degree. I'm like, no, these two are a little different, but okay. But so 2013, I had been a stay-at-home mom for a couple years, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm getting fat. Again, this is kind of the story for a lot of women and a lot of moms after being pregnant. They're like, well, I don't like the way I'm feeling anymore. So I started going to group fitness classes, decided I could do that. Like I could totally get up there. I'm extroverted. I know how to speak on stage. I preached for whatever, right? So got certified, and now I've been in the industry for 8 years, and I teach all kinds of fitness classes. My favorite is kickboxing. I do a class called Strike. That's what you were seeing on my Instagram when you see me like with a bar in my hand. It's stick fighting and kickboxing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's really fun. It's really aggressive. It like gets at my like guttural, troubled being that lives inside of my little soul. So I like the high intensity kinds of classes. That's usually what I do. But I'm also a master trainer for the company. So this is actually my office, and I do virtual instruction to teach people how to be group fitness instructors across the country.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's really, really fun. I've been a manager position before. I worked for Lifetime Academy. So when you're in my industry, but you're not salaried, you have to kind of be a bit of an octopus with one arm in all these different places to piecemeal a career.
Right. Wow. Very interesting. Stick fighting. That could be cool. So kind of just going back to Mammoth a little bit, the way I found you was looking into your training and your prep, and, kind of did my spotlight video there. How do you feel like your prep went going into Mammoth? And when you were there, how do you think the day went for you based on how you had prepared?
So I was thinking about that question because obviously when you were going through my Instagram, you noticed there wasn't a lot of very particular training videos that pertained to the specific events for Mammoth. One thing that a lot of strong people do as they get closer to a comp is they actually stop posting their training because there tends to be a lot of behind the scenes stalking, right? You want to go look up your competitors. You want to go see, oh, can she lift it too? And I've been trying to step away from that space because it messes with my head. So I've kind of stopped posting the specifics on that. And then I think the next thing to ask too is, what was your goal for Mammoth? Because my goal was probably very different than other people's. The last time I competed in a bigger competition was the Strongest Games, official Strongman Games. And I didn't do very good. And I had a bit of like this, emotional, mental, like brain fart during the competition, which was weird for me. So I took some time off after that to kind of take a break, bring it back down a notch. And so I decided when I came back to the sport that I needed to do it for me, right? I was so worried about letting people down, like coaches and people that supported me along the way, my husband and my friends that had to put up with me cutting in the middle of 4th of July and not being able to have beers, that kind of stuff. All these people that surround you and support you through this. So I was so worried about upsetting people, letting them down, that I finally let it get to me. And I realized it wasn't fun for me anymore for a while. So my big goal at Mammoth was to go do it for myself, to stop worrying about what everybody else thought, and to have fun. So yes, I would have loved to have won. That would have been great. Cool. But that wasn't my main goal. So when I look back on what happened that day, I'm actually very, very happy. So I got 4th place out of 4 people. We had one competitor not show up. That would have been the 5th. But, I came in 4th place. That's last place if you put it that way, right? But for me, I had so much fun. I got to see a bunch of people that I know and adore, like Jessica Fithen. I just adore her to pieces, right? I got to meet new people that I hadn't met in this sport yet. People that I knew names of, like Leah Castonia. Like I knew her name, but I never met her. So it was really nice to meet her. I worked my butt off. I gave my all in every single event. There was literally nothing else I could have possibly given. You saw that tire flip.
Yep.
There was nothing else I could have given. Like that was it. So I know that I did the best that I really could, truly and honestly. And the placement didn't really bother me at all. I had fun. I didn't get injured. We had a good time.
That's awesome. That's actually like one of the kind of mantras of my channel and why I started it, because of the whole world situation. A lot of people couldn't get out to their gyms, and I wanted to kind of show them like you got stuff all around you in your home that you can turn into weights, and so I always say on my channel, small goals matter. Like it doesn't have to be, as you say, the goals that everyone else thinks are the goals you should strive for. They're what is meaningful for you. So that's a story that kind of connects with me for sure.
Yeah. Sometimes we forget those little things. Sometimes we don't have to want to do these goals that people assume that you have. Sometimes it's, and I see that a lot in the fitness industry in general too, right? We always assume people at the gym want to lose weight. Actually, probably about 90% of them, that's not their goal. It's something else, like not having knee pain, right?
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Great story. So would you return to Mammoth next year?
Yeah, that was totally fun. Although I would like to see a whole weight class not tied after 2 events. I think that would be the one adjustment that I would make is how do we not have the lightweight women, midweight women tied, after a couple of events? Because really that makes it 3 events instead of 5.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
But I would totally go back. It was fun. It was like the waterfall thing that we did where the lightweight women just go. Like we literally have 15 minutes between events. I kind of liked that. It was like, yeah, let's rock.
And you can totally skip this question. I'll edit it out if you don't want to answer it. But did you have any issues with like improper loading like some of the other athletes did, or farmers kind of either the grips being too slick or some of them came apart? Like, did any of that affect you at all?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, like the Viking press for us, I think Christine said that it was based at 165. And with lightweight women, it was supposed to be 125, that's a big adjustment. Absolutely. The deadlift, the axle deadlift was definitely heavier than the 350 that we were supposed to be. I know I can pull 350 off the blocks for reps. Yes, the handles were slick. Absolutely. The backside of one of my farmer's handles, the weights fell off on my last couple of drags, but none of that bothers me in the long run because everybody else in my weight class had the same issues. It wasn't just me, right? So it's not like singled out. Everybody had to deal with it. Okay. And number 2, the big rule in strongman is that on game day, anything can happen. So you have to learn how to adjust. And that's actually one of the things I like about strongman.
Cool. Yeah, I've actually heard that quite a lot. And going back to Jessica Fithen, she's on Monday, so I'm very excited about that one.
Oh my God, you're gonna have so much fun with her. She's like the funniest kid on the block. It's the best.
Yeah, super strong too.
Yeah.
So what would you say you like most about the sport? If you could pick one thing, or 2 if you like.
I'm gonna pick 2.
Okay.
One is one we've already talked about, and it's the people. The cool thing about strongman is that if you are paying attention to everybody's Facebook pages and Instagram stuff, like there's a lot of different political beliefs. There's a lot of different, social beliefs inside of the people that do strongman. But when we're in strongman, doing strongman, we're all together. We're all about strongman. We're all about cheering each other on. You will not get that in a CrossFit competition. You will not get that in a powerlifting competition. That's strongman and strongman only. So that's what keeps me in the sport. The second thing is what it taught me about myself. And I hear this from a lot of women. I'd be curious to know if men feel the same way. But it taught me about my own inner strength and about being afraid of things. It's normal. I'm afraid to do a keg press, but it doesn't stop me from doing it and from trying to do hard things.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's funny. Marcus Crowder said something interesting or something like that when I spoke to him. Like we were talking about kind of what advice you would give someone trying to get into strongman. And he said, like, most people are afraid to be uncomfortable. And he said it's about pushing through that.
Yep, he's spot on.
Yeah. So kind of the other thing like that I really wanted to ask you was you have, obviously, you know this, you have a very unique personality that demands attention. Like, how did that come about?
I am my father's daughter. This is what my dad is like, except I think I have bigger facial expressions, and I had to learn that being a pastor because it's very hard to keep people's attention during a boring church sermon. The other thing I've had to learn is how to be an entertainer on stage as a group fitness instructor. So that naturally comes through. That's actually my comfort zone, is when I'm putting myself out there to that level. It also makes things funner and it brings people in. It connects people. I'm all about relationships with people and connecting people. And if I get to be the nucleus that starts some of that, that's cool. I love it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I noticed that too, kind of starting this channel, especially like if you can see your personality on camera, then it's even bigger in person because the camera like kills personality. I did my first video on this channel and I thought, all right, you know, I just started. It was okay. I don't expect it to be spectacular, but it's fine. I go back and I watch it and I'm thinking, was I asleep? Like the camera kills 50% of your energy. I'm like yelling right now to sound just normal.
Yeah,
so,
it totally does. Hey, good for you though, for like watching that and being like, I'm going to give myself some feedback now.
Yes, absolutely. So the other thing I was wanting to know was kind of like, if you talked about yoke walk being one of your favorites, what tips would you give kind of a just slightly stronger than regular guy like me if I wanted to grab a yoke, learn it, and get good at it?
Oh my gosh, the yoke. I love talking about the yoke technique because I actually learned it from Dave Daly. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's an amazing guy. He was pro in 2 different weight classes. And he's amazing at the yoke. Like, he flies. So when I've been able to train with him, there's a couple of really basic things. Number one, when you get underneath that yoke, your hips come forward as you pick it up. It's a bit of a mini squat. You take a deep breath and then you hold that breath in for as long as you can, hopefully for the full 50 feet that you have to scoot your feet. And the other thing is, try not to walk on a tightrope. That's not nearly as stable as having your feet on the railroad tracks, right? Having them apart just a little bit. Now, if you do have to take a little bit of a breath, take a small breath, right? You don't want to pass out, but just a small breath, because when you have that chest filled with air, it's more stable, it's bigger, it's more powerful, and it also creates more stability on the shoulders for the bar to sit there. And the last thing I would say is keep your eyes up, because where your eyes go is where you go.
Interesting. Okay. So kind of 2 anecdotes. One, did you watch World's Strongest Man 2020?
I did.
What did you think of the yoke with 3 motorcycles on it, but not 4? Like, is that just impossibly imbalanced?
You know, I think it's good training. They're going to find out real quick what they need to go back and train to stay on balance. I know, it's weird, right?
Yeah, it's weird. And then the other thing I was thinking of, I just saw Rob Kearney recently. He's training with Martins Licis, and he's another example. He's awesome with yoke. The short, choppy steps on a rail, like you say. He's very fast, and he's really good with yoke.
Yeah, us shorties with the tiny little legs, we tend to be kind of good at the yoke. I'm just saying.
All right, awesome. I'm 5'8". Here we go. What would be your best advice for someone looking to get into strongman for the first time?
Foundation. Get your foundational lifts nice and strong. I frequently see people start to specialize in things before they even have a foundational deadlift set up. So you've got your 4 basic main lifts. You got a squat, you got a row, you got a press, and you've got your deadlift. So those need to be strong foundational pieces. And then when you're ready to try strongman, go find a crew. Go find a place that you can go to, even if you can't go very often, right? Say it's a 2-hour drive to get to the nearest gym. Once a month, head out to that gym, get your hands on the actual equipment. There's lots of hacks, of course, that you can use to train for events in your home gyms or in big global gyms like Lifetime. But the best thing for you to do is get your hands on the real implements and go be around other strongmen so that you're getting, or women, so that you're getting your tips and tricks and training techniques from them.
Okay. Yeah. I have plenty of natural stones around my yard, but that's it.
Dude, then you're going to be amazing at natural stones. Just go rock those in the backyard.
Yeah. I'm the type where it's like, we needed a wall built. Most people, they grab a wheelbarrow. I'm like, forget that. Like, let's get a workout in. I'm going to pick up, they're not 200-pound stones, but they're maybe 100-pound stones. And, you carry 30 of them, you get a good workout.
You sure do. That's cardio, honey.
Yep. Awesome. So what's next and exciting in your future?
What is next and exciting? I'm definitely be training for NAS Nationals. So, should be in the fall. And I'm going to see events are the virtual qualifier for official strongman games. But I will be totally honest, the weights are a little bit heavy for me. I don't know if I can pull off a 170-pound log. So there's some really heavy weights in that one. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't know if my foundation has been rebuilt enough to go for it. So we'll see. But definitely Nationals is the next big one. I want to just recreate my foundation from taking that year off.
That's smart, for sure. So my last kind of question or comment that I bring up on my interviews is tell everybody how they can follow you, and feel free to kind of plug or promote anything that you would like.
Yeah, absolutely, you guys. I'm on Instagram. My tag is eStoney14. I have regular fitness stuff on there as well as strongman stuff and lifting stuff. So it's mostly fitness stuff, not a bunch of family stuff. Also, if you're looking for group fitness classes to do, I have a bunch on my YouTube channel, especially if you want to try out that stick fighting class I talked about. There's classes on there. It's called Strike, and I'm just ERIN Stoney on YouTube. And the last thing that I would say is if you're looking for a local comp in Illinois, look for Pandemic Performance. We're having a competition in March. It's on the official NAS website, so go check it out. We would love to have everybody come. It's a level 1. So,
are they streaming that at all?
We will not be streaming that, no.
Okay, yeah. Actually, you know what? It's funny. You know how this is the second time I've heard of Pandemic Performance? Alila Worley told me about it.
Yay! Leela's awesome. Yeah, that's my buddy Dan. This is his gym out of his garage. It came about, of course, after lifetime load off personal trainers, and he's like, "Well, fine, then I'm gonna train out of my gym. I'm gonna call it Pandemic Performance." And we're like, "That's cool."
Awesome. Is there like a Facebook page or something? Like, I'd still love to spotlight some of the athletes, even if they're not streaming it.
Oh yeah, totally. Check them out on Instagram right now. Pandemic Performance has its own Instagram. We're working on the Facebook page.
Awesome. All right, cool. This has been a really fun discussion, Erin. I really want to thank you so much for jumping on. And maybe before the next comp or after the next comp, we get together again. What do you think? Yeah,
we'll talk new goals, right?
Yes, for sure. Awesome. Thanks again. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, John. You too.
All right, bye-bye. So if you like this video and haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing using that button right there. And also stay tuned for some other videos that you might love blooping up right there. This one is the one that YouTube thinks that you will like the best, and this one is the one that I think you will like the best. As always, share this with everyone, and until next time, ciao, homie.